Across the galaxy, a call for help echoed into the cold darkness. The ones who sent it were desperate, nearly forgotten. And when no one else responded, one species did. Earth. They did not answer with words. They did not come with mercy. They came with quiet strength. The stars would never forget what followed. Mara sat alone in the deep signal room, watching the same blinking light for over 3 hours. She had a mug of cold tea on her desk and a quiet sigh stuck in her throat. Somewhere deep in the corner of her heart, she missed someone. Someone far away. Someone who used to sit at the station next to her. Lena. They had worked side by side for years, decoding interstellar transmissions from hundreds of alien worlds. Laughing at strange translations, arguing over ancient glyphs, sharing silence during long nights. But Lena had left 2 months ago. Transferred to a deep space survey station orbiting Titan. "It's a good step for my career," she had said. "You'll be fine without me." Mara wasn't fine, not really. And she hadn't told Lena that since she left the station felt bigger, colder, quieter. The stars outside the observation dome twinkled, like they always had, but Mara didn't feel connected to them anymore. Not like before. Then, one night, something changed. A faint signal pushed through the black. It came in broken pieces, from somewhere far beyond any mapped systems. At first it sounded like background radiation, but Mara noticed the rhythm. Too steady, too structured. She leaned closer, hands trembling slightly. It wasn't just noise, it was a voice. And it was crying. She worked for hours. She filtered it, cleaned it, sharpened the faint echoes into clear data. A translation came. "Through, we are the Trell. We beg for help. We are losing everything. If anyone can hear us, please answer. We are afraid." Mara froze. She ran a check. This was no simulation, no prank. The signal matched no known race from any diplomatic chart. The distress call had repeated for days undetected, fading more with each cycle. She whispered, "You've been crying out into the dark and no one heard you." She pressed a button and sent the signal to command, but no one at Earth Central replied. Not for hours. Not even the AI systems. It was like the world had taken a deep breath and was thinking. Meanwhile, halfway across the system, a different kind of silence was forming. On the edge of Earth's high-orbit defense ring, giant ships began powering up. Reactors hummed, steel wings unfolded. The fleets of Earth didn't move fast or speak loudly. They waited. Then, when command gave a single signal, they launched without a word to the public, without speeches or songs. Admiral Riker stood on the bridge of the EOS horizon, staring out at the stars ahead. He had received Mara's decoded message directly now. Humanity had heard a cry for help, but humans did not come with open hands. They came with presence. Mara watched the fleet launch from the dome. Thousands of small lights blinking into the dark, heading toward the place the signal came from. Still, she sat quietly alone at her desk. She didn't feel joy. She didn't feel pride. She felt distant. Even with the galaxy shaking, she still missed Lena, and now she didn't know what to say. Was it too late? Was she already forgotten? Later that night, as the stars passed slowly overhead, a reply arrived not from the Trell, but from Titan Station, a private message. "Mara, I saw the signal. I knew you were the one who caught it. I miss hearing your voice in the hallway. I miss our arguments about grammar. Even miss your terrible tea." Mara's breath caught in her chest. "I hope you're okay. I'm proud of you. I wish I'd told you more before I left. Maybe we're both bad at saying things that matter." Mara typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed again, deleted again. What could she even say? The fleet was already on its way. The stars were moving. History was changing, but in that moment, all she wanted was to feel close to someone again. Finally, she wrote, "I miss you too. The tea is still bad. But the silence has gotten worse without you here." She paused, then added, "We heard them, Lena. Earth is moving. I hope they know what that means." The next morning, reports came in. The Deathworlders had reached the edge of the Trell system. No one spoke of war. No one spoke of rescue. Only this short message came from Riker's ship. Earth has heard. We do not send mercy. We send our presence. Mara looked out again at the stars, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled. Asterisk, asterisk, the cry for help echoed through the galaxy. The Deathworlders of Earth listened. They did not speak. They did not send a message back. Instead, they moved, slowly, silently, purposefully. A response not of mercy, but of action. Mara sat in the corner of the canteen, watching ships rise into the sky through the transparent dome. One by one, they left Earth's orbit, like silver birds flying into the stars. The floor vibrated softly with each launch. Every heartbeat of the fleet was felt. She knew the world was watching, but even in all that movement, she felt still, quiet, hollow. Her tea had gone cold again. It had been 3 days since she replied to Lena, 3 days since she typed those simple words, "I miss you too." Lena hadn't written back yet. Mara told herself Lena was probably busy. Titan Station had its own duties. Maybe she hadn't seen the message. Maybe she stopped. She didn't want to think like that. Instead, she watched the sky and listened to the quiet hum of ships leaving home, far above Earth. Admiral Riker stood on the command bridge of EO's horizon, eyes fixed on the stars. He was not a man of many words. People said he had never raised his voice in battle, but when he spoke, others listened. He had received the decoded Trell signal. He had seen the strange maps, the vanished colonies, the unanswered cries. Now his fleet stretched across the black space behind him. Earth's best, silent, focused, still. Many in the Galactic Council did not understand. One alien ambassador had sent a message to Riker just that morning. "Why are you going human? Why risk your ships? These are not your people." Riker didn't answer with speeches or promises. He simply sent one short reply: "We are not going to help them. We are going to stand. That is what we do." Back on Earth, Mara received a quiet ping. A new message. Her heart jumped. She opened it fast, but it wasn't Lena. It was a standard update from command, letting her know the fleet had passed Neptune and was now in jump range of the Trell. System, still no reply from Titan. Still silence. Mara walked to the observation deck. She had spent her whole life listening to the stars, decoding strange alien voices, finding patterns in the dark. But she had never felt so unsure of her own voice. She wanted to send another message to Lena. She didn't single quotes the next day. She returned to the signal room. Work helped her forget. She scanned old data from the Trell colonies, compared it to older broadcasts, looked for any sign that someone else had noticed their distress call before Earth had. But she found nothing. Only silence. It made her think how many other signals had gone unheard. How many quiet voices were still calling, lost in the noise. In orbit, the fleet prepared for arrival. Each ship checked its systems. Each pilot ran quiet drills. They didn't joke. They didn't boast. The Deathworlders didn't fly to conquer. They flew to understand and protect. As the fleet reached the edge of the jump corridor, Riker opened a channel. Every ship, every crew member heard his voice. The galaxy watched them fall. No one moved, no one answered, but we did. That does not make us heroes. It makes us human. He paused. We do not know what waits for us, but we will not flinch. Because we are Deathworlders. We remember what it means to feel Ferrand, choose to go anyway. Then the stars twisted. The fleet jumped. Mara watched the final light blink. From Earth's sky, the fleet was gone. She sat back at her desk. Still no message from Lena. She pulled up her message history. Read her last words again. "I miss you too. The tea is still bad, but the silence has gotten worse without you here." She stared at the blinking cursor, then slowly began typing again. Right. I watched them leave today. I thought maybe I'd feel proud or safe. But mostly I just thought about how you'd react. You'd say I'm being dramatic. But I think you'd also understand. She added, I guess I just want you to know I'm still here. still listening, still hoping. She hit send. Across the void, deep in Titan's shadow, Lena sat alone in a similar room. She reread Mara's message 3 times, smiled softly, typed something, then deleted it, then typed again. You're not dramatic. You just care too much. That's why I miss you. In space, the fleet moved closer to the Trell system, and for the first time in many years, across the stars, something stirred in the darkness. Humanity had not come with mercy. They had come with hope, and the galaxy was beginning to feel it. The Deathworlders reached the edge of the unknown. The world that cried for help had gone quiet. No signs of life. No signs of battle. Just silence. But Earth does not turn away from silence. Earth listens. And Earth remembers. Mara sat in the signal room, staring at the latest report. The fleet had entered the Trell system. Their first colony planet, Valtorin, was just ahead, but no reply came from the surface. No lights, no energy signals, no communications, just silence again. She scrolled through the feed. Satellite scans showed the planet was intact. Cities still stood, towers still reached into the sky, but there were no people, no movement. The Trell had vanished. Her hand hovered over the message console. She wanted to tell anyone how it felt, like standing outside a friend's house and finding the door open, the lights on, but no one home. She thought of Lena again. Maybe she'd understand, but she didn't send anything. Not yet. In orbit above Valtorin, Admiral Riker stood with his team. They studied the first images with quiet attention. No damage, said Commander Cho. It's like they just stopped. Riker nodded. Send down scouts. No weapons. No armor. We go in with eyes open and hands empty. Ow. Within hours, a shuttle touched down. Riker stepped onto the surface himself. The streets were clean. Wind moved through tall glass buildings. Gardens still bloomed. Fountains still flowed. But not a single Trell remained. It was as if they had walked away from their lives in the middle of the day and never returned. Riker walked down a hallway in one of the tall buildings. He passed toys on the floor, still set on tables, a cup resting on the edge of a desk. Everything normal, except the people were gone. He didn't say anything, just walked. Not with fear, but with steady calm. He made a quiet report to the fleet. The world is silent, but not dead. Something took the people, or scared them enough to leave without a fight. He paused. We are not leaving. Not yet, Mara. Listened to the message. She replayed it twice, then 3 times. She felt something strange in her chest. She didn't feel fear. She didn't feel confusion. She felt proud Earth had come not to destroy, but to stay. To face the silence with steady eyes, she wanted to tell someone how it made her feel. So she opened the message, console again, and this time she wrote, They're not just brave, Lena. They're calm. That's what's different about us. Our strength? We don't rush. We stay, even when everyone else leaves. She waited a moment, then added, I think I'm learning to stay too. With feelings, with memories, with silence. She pressed send back on Titan Station. Lena read the message. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she finally replied, You're right. We stay. Maybe that's why I left when I did. I didn't know how to stay not with people. Not with feelings. But I miss being next to you, Mara. I miss the way you stay. Mara read the message and smiled. She didn't cry. She just sat in the quiet and felt something warm grow in her chest. Down on Valtorin, Riker found something new. In the center of the city, a small device was still active. It was a beacon. A memory recorder. The last message stored on it played slowly in the soft voice of a Trell elder. They came from the stars, not with sound, but with silence. We did not understand them, and then we could not escape. Riker listened carefully. This is not death. This is forgetting. He saved the file and sent it to Earth. Then he looked up at the sky, and he said, almost to himself, "Not on our watch." Mara received the message. She played it, then sat still for a long time, forgetting that was the enemy. Not war, not weapons, but silence. The kind that erased stories. The kind that made people disappear not just from planets, but from hearts. She stood from her desk and looked up at the stars through the dome. Then, the first time in weeks, she left her message console open and wrote to Lena again. "We remember. That's what Earth does best. That's why we're here. That's why I'm still here." Then she added, "I don't want to forget you." In orbit, Riker ordered his fleet to build orbiting satellites. Over Valtaran, they would shine lights into the city. They would record every street, every word, every memory, and above the quiet world, Earth's presence would remain. No weapons drawn, no flags planted, just presence, asterisk. The galaxy watched as Earth arrived at the Trell world. They didn't conquer, they didn't turn away. They stayed quiet, steady, strong. Some aliens whispered in fear. Others watched with hope. The Deathworlders had come, and they were not leaving. Mara sat in the observatory alone again, the stars glowing faintly above her. It had become her favorite place these past few weeks. The quiet comforted her, even if it sometimes made her feel more alone. She held a tablet in her lap, scrolling through the most recent reports from the fleet. Satellite relays now circled the Trell world, recording everything. No new signs of danger had been found, no enemies, just silence. Still, the humans stayed. They had begun building, not weapons, but lights, shelters, listening towers. They wanted the Trell to come, back to something that felt safe, something remembered. Mara smiled at that. She liked the idea that someone, somewhere, might return and find Earth's lights waiting for them. She wished she could be that brave with Lena every night. She wanted to write. Every night she hesitated. She had already sent a message last week. Lena had replied with warmth, with honesty. But then there had been silence again. Mara told herself it was okay. People were busy. Space wasn't small. Feelings took time. But inside, she still missed her. Not just the laughter. Not just the quiet partnership. She missed being understood. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Admiral Riker stood in the central deck of EO's Horizon, reading new diplomatic messages from alien leaders. Most were simple, cautious. Earth should step back. This is not your war. Let the Trell be. You cannot stop the unknown. He read them all. He said nothing. Then one message came through that caught his attention. It was from the Varnak Union, a proud race of thinkers and politicians. "Human Admiral? We do not understand. Why are you building there? The Trell are gone. There is nothing left," Riker finally replied. "You're wrong. There is everything left. Their memory, their story, their silence. That's what matters." Next day, the humans started constructing something new on the Trell. World not a base, not a military outpost, but a museum. They called it the Hall of Echoes. A building filled with everything found on Valtoran. Photos, objects, sound recordings, music, voices from the beacon. Earth didn't come to claim land. They came to hold memories, to make sure no one forgot. Mara read about the Hall of Echoes and felt her chest grow warm. She opened her message app again, wrote, "They built a museum for the Trell."
Oh.
Isn't that just like us? Everyone else sees ruins, but we see stories. Then she paused, deleted it, rewrote something simpler. "I miss you again. Every day, actually. I think I'm just scared to say too much, or not enough." She stared at the message for a while, then tapped send. On Titan Station, Lena sat. In her dimmed room, she'd been thinking about Mara every night. She reread the last message again and again. "I miss you again. It's every day, actually." Aina smiled, but her eyes filled with tears. She whispered to herself, "I miss you too." She didn't know what to say. She didn't want to say the wrong thing. Still, she began typing, "I miss you too." I keep stopping myself from saying more because I don't want to make it harder, but maybe silence is worse. She paused, then added, "You always saw things in the silence that others didn't. I think that's what I loved most about you. She hit send dot in orbit around Valtorin. The Deathworlders continued their quiet work. They created a communication beacon near the museum, strong enough to reach distant colonies. Not to speak for Earths, but to offer connection. The message it played was simple. If you are lost, Earth remembers you. A beacon became a symbol. Other species began to listen. One by one, a few alien scientists and explorers arrived. Cautious at first, curious, moved by what the humans had built. The fear began to shift into respect. The galaxy didn't understand Earth, but they started to watch. Earth Mara read a short news entry that said, Varnock historians have requested access to the Hall of Echoes. The first time in their history they've studied a world not their own. She smiled again. Earth's quiet actions were working, without fire, without force, just presence. She opened Lena's message and read it again. I think that's what I loved most about you. Her hands trembled slightly. She typed, You said loved? Past tense. Deleted it. Typed again. You don't have to be afraid of saying too much. I'd rather have your words than the silence. She hesitated, then added, Maybe I love you too. I think I always did. In the sky above Valtorin, Earth's beacon kept playing. In the stars, between Mara and Lena, something had shifted. Something small, quiet, but real. The kind of shift that begins with presence and ends with hope. In the silence left behind, the Deathworlders listened. What took the trail wasn't war. It was something older, something hidden. Humanity didn't fear the unknown. They searched for it, because Earth doesn't run. Earth uncovers truth even. In the void, Mara sat in the signal lab, her eyes scanning waveforms and deep frequency scans. Her fingers moved across the controls, slow and thoughtful. May she had read the message from Lena again that morning. Maybe I love you too. I think I always did. She hadn't replied yet. It wasn't because she didn't care. It was because the words made her feel both full and hollow at the same time. Love. It was a word she had wanted to hear, but now that she had, it made her want to reach through space and grab Lena's hand, just once. To feel that she was real, but Titan was far, and space didn't move for feelings. A soft ping echoed from the console. A strange signal had come through tucked deep inside the original Trell distress call. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't language. It was a pattern. Buried under the cry for help, someone or something had left a signature. Mara leaned forward. Her heart picked up speed. She pulled the data apart piece by piece. After hours of work, she saw it, a repeating loop. 17 symbols, then silence, then 17 again. Not random, a warning. A code. She didn't know, but someone had added it before the trail vanished, and no one had noticed it until now. Across the system, Riker stood aboard EOS Horizon and read Mara's findings. He listened to the pattern. The loop. Then he said, Someone tried to tell us more. He turned to his command team. Dig into the oldest records. Look for anything like this in human or alien history. Within hours, Earth's deep history, teams found something chilling. A record from a forgotten colony, more than 500 years old. One that had disappeared just like the team's single quotes are, and in their final log a matching pattern, 17 symbols. Then silence. Mara sat alone when she got the full report. Her breath caught in her chest. It wasn't the first time. This had happened. She opened her message app. She had to talk to someone. She needed Lena. She started typing. It happened before. Missed it. Another colony vanished centuries ago. No one connected the dots. But the same pattern was there. She hesitated, then kept typing. I don't know what it means. But I think it's not just about saving people now. I think it's about remembering the ones we already lost. She added one more line. I need you. Then hit send. On Titan Station, Lena read the message as her heart pounded in her chest. Mara never said things like that, not so openly. I need you. Lena didn't know what to say at first. She had tried so hard to be brave, to stay busy, to not let her feelings grow too loud. But now, she wanted to reply. Right away, she typed, I want to be where you are. Deleted it. Typed again. I wish I could hold your hand right now. Deleted again. Finally, she wrote, You're not alone. You never were. I think I need you too. She sent it before she could change her mind. Back at Valtorn, Earth's researchers began building a deep array scanner to trace the signal's source. They believed the pattern didn't come from the Trell alone, but from something else watching from afar. The project was named Project Coz. It wasn't a weapon, it was a question. And Earth wanted an answer. The Galactic Council began whispering. Again, Earth should not go further. You dig into what should remain buried. You will wake what was never meant to be touched. But Riker replied with only one sentence. If truth is buried, we dig. The stars may have forgotten, but Earth remembered. Mara returned to the observatory that night. A new light had appeared in the sky, a listening satellite. Earth had sent even farther, trying to find the origin of the hidden symbols. The quiet sky now held voices again, but not fear. Hope. She opened Lena's message, read it slowly, then finally typed, What if we're both just scared of being left behind? And then, I don't want to be apart anymore. Even if it's just through a screen. Even if it's just messages. I want to stay. On Titan, Lena held her breath, then smiled, tears slipping down her cheek. She typed, Then let's stay. Together, in every way we can, until we meet again. Above the forgotten world, the Deathworlders kept building, searching, not with fear, not with weapons, but with light. The darkness grew closer. Worlds fell, fleets scattered, but Earth did not run. They did not hide. They stood, because Deathworlders were not built to flee. They were built to endure. And when all others blinked, Earth remained. Mara leaned against the window in the signal lab. Outside, Earth's night sky was filled with ships and lights. But her thoughts were somewhere far beyond. She had just read Lena's latest message. Let's stay together in every way we can. Till we meet again, as the words played over. And over in her head, they had opened something inside her. But even with that warmth, she still felt the distance. They had not seen each other in months. Only words connected them now. It helped, but sometimes it wasn't enough. Sometimes she wished Lena would just walk through the door, roll her eyes, and say something funny about Mara's awful tea. She missed her, and she was afraid. Afraid that the silence from the stars might one day reach Earth. The reports weren't good. A small colony near the edge of known space had gone dark. No warning, no attack. Just silence again. The same strange symbols were found in the data logs. The pattern had spread. Alien alliances began pulling their ships back. Some chose to close their borders. Others pretended nothing was happening but Earth. Earth began building a wall. Not a wall of stone or metal. A wall of presence. Riker stood on the command deck of EO's Horizon as the new fleet map formed in front of him. Earth's ships now stretched in a long, silent formation between the dead zones and the inner worlds. They didn't move. They didn't attack. They simply stood still, watching, waiting, protecting. The rest of the galaxy didn't understand. Why stand there? Why not fall back? Why risk so much for silence? Riker answered in one short broadcast. Because someone must stand. And Earth does not blink. Back in the lab, Mara tracked the movement of the listening satellites. One of them had picked up a faint signal from deep space. It wasn't Trell. It wasn't from any known race. Just a small pulse. And then another. A strange beat like a slow drum in the dark. Mara's hand shook as she watched it. She knew something was coming. She felt it. She opened her message app, typed quickly. Something is near, Lena. I don't know what, but it's not far. Then another message. I keep wishing you were here, every day. It's not just for comfort, but because I don't want to face this alone. She hovered over the send button. Then, hit it. On Titan Station, Lena was already watching the same report. The signal had reached them, too. She knew what Mara meant, and she knew now that silence wasn't safety, it was a warning. She opened her console, typed, I'm scared too, but I feel braver when I read your messages. Even if we're far apart, I feel like we're still together." She paused, then added, "I want to be there with you when the silence breaks, even if it breaks everything." Mara smiled softly at the message. She felt the fear too, but she also felt something else. Strength, not loud or proud, but steady, like Earth the next day. Earth completed the last part of the defense line. They called it the Line of Light. Hundreds of satellites, thousands of ships, dozens of listening towers. It was not meant to fight. It was meant to watch, to stand, to remind the galaxy. Someone was still there, and they would not leave. The signal from the deep grew louder. The stars near the edge began to dim, but Earth didn't flinch. They recorded, they listened. They waited, and slowly, other races began to send their own probes again. Some sent small ships to stand near Earth's line. For the first time, they didn't run, because Earth had shown them how to stay. Mara opened Lena's newest message. It said, "If the sky breaks open, I want to face it with you." She wrote back, "Then we face it together, not just with fear, but with light." Above Veltorin, Earth's fleet lit up the night sky. Below, the Hall of Echoes stood tall, filled with memory, sound, and hope. And above, the darkness pressed in, but it met something new this time. It met Deathworlders, and they did not blink. The silence came like a wave. It touched stars, swallowed systems, and left only stillness behind. But Earth remained. Earth watched. Earth stood. And when the silence finally looked back, found someone was still listening, Mara sat at her desk in the signal lab, fingers gently resting on the console. The deep space signal had grown stronger. It wasn't just noise anymore. It was rhythm. A sound that felt like a heartbeat in the dark. The satellites had traced its source to a far dark place beyond known maps. A region long believed to be empty. But now they knew it wasn't. Empty something was there. And it had been watching, waiting, across the system. Fear began to rise again. Some races evacuated nearby colonies. Some closed their borders. But Earth prepared not for war, but for witness. They weren't there to fight. They were there to remember. Admiral Riker stood on the command deck of EOS Horizon, silent, steady as always. His fleet stretched across the sky, strong, calm, patient. They had seen the silence. They had watched it swallow worlds. Now they would not let it erase. One more. Not while they were still breathing, in the Hall of Echoes. On the Trell world, Valteran Earth's engineers added one last section. A message. A wall with no names. Only light. It glowed in soft blue, and the inscription read, "To all who were lost without a voice. We heard you. Earth remembers." Back in the signal lab, Mara received a message. It was from Lena. "The silence is almost here. They're saying it might cross the border within days." Mara felt her throat tighten. She typed back, "I know. We've tracked the signal. It's closer than anyone thought," then paused. Added, "If this is the end, I want you to know you're the voice that kept me brave." She hesitated, then sent it. Lena replied within minutes. "You gave me a reason to stop running, even from myself. I don't care how far apart we are. I feel you with me. Always." Mara smiled, tears forming behind her eyes. She wrote, "Then stay with me. In light, in signal, in memory." As the silence approached the line of light, all Earth ships activated their beacon systems. Not weapons, not shields, but stories. Each ship broadcast memories, recordings, voices of the Trell, voices from the past. Earth was not trying to scare the dark. They were showing it. That they had not forgotten. That the silence had not won. Then, something strange happened. The signal changed. It slowed, it pulsed, and then it echoed, as if it had heard the voices, as if it remembered. On the bridge of EO's Horizon, Riker gave one final order. Hold position. Show them what humanity is. Across the stars, ships held their ground. No missiles, no battle formations, just light and voices and the truth. And then the silence stopped. It didn't vanish. It didn't retreat. It simply paused, and something new appeared in the signal. A single sound, one that Earth hadn't heard before. A reply, back on Earth. Cheers broke out in the monitoring stations, not because they had one, but because they had been heard. Because someone, or something, had finally answered back, and that was enough. That was everything in the lab. Mara couldn't stop smiling. She opened a new message, typed, "They responded, Lena. They answered us. After all this time." Then added, "We didn't stop them. We reached them." Lena's message came soon after. Earth didn't need to fight. It just needed to be strong enough to stay. And that's you, Mara. You're Earth to me. Mara's heart ached in the best way. She whispered to herself, "You're home to me." A few days later, requests came through the system. Lena had applied for transfer back to Earth Station. It was approved. The first time Mara saw her again, Lena stood in the doorway of the lab, a little older, a little tired, but still with that familiar grin. Mara didn't say anything. She just walked over and hugged her tightly, quietly. No words were needed. Together, they watched the new signal from deep space comm, rhythmic, almost like music. The silence hadn't left, but it was no longer alone. Because Earth had answered it. Because someone had stayed. In the Hall of Echoes, the final room now played two signals side by side. The first, the Trell's cry for help. The second, Earth's answer, and the third newest of all, was a quiet voice from the void. 3 songs, 3 lights, 1 truth. The stars would remember. Earth, because Earth had remembered them first.